Hacker Josh, what is the best pond bait to use year-round? That's a great question. It is a spinnerbait, and in particular, a couple of different ones that I like. A chartreuse and white spinnerbait, 3/16 ounce. I feel that is great for fishing ponds, for covering those the shallow depths. This one right here is actually a spinnerbait that I kind of modified. I cut the arm down a little bit and just increased the size of that blade and put a little Terminator skirt on it. Just made it a nice little compact baitfish spinnerbait. This is just straight Terminator spinnerbait. If you look right here, you can see that the blade hangs down much farther than the hook than on this spinnerbait. So this one's just more compact, you know, better for short striking fish and you know, whatnot. But this spinnerbait right here is super effective at any pond. If I was going to go to any pond in America right now and I had to take only one lure, it'd probably be this right here. And I think Blacktip H would agree with me. He is the spinnerbait king when it comes to pond fishing. That's pretty much all he uses. Alright, VinDog710 asks, baits to match tiny shads in ponds. Every pond I know of has such small shad and it's hard to catch them. That is a problem. That actually becomes a problem in lakes too. So I'll go over some baits that are good in ponds and lakes in when this situation happens. I mean, actually, during the fall, when the shad are really small, they have their little spawn and they're like tiny. I like to break out my pond box. So some of the great baits that you can throw, this is a killer right here. This is a little Lucky Craft jerk bait, you know, whatever your favorite brand jerk bait is. Get you a little tiny one like this. Get you some spinning gear and jerk this sucker around. I have caught tons of fish on these little jerk baits on lakes and ponds on these little guys. It just imitates those little top minnows that they chase around and the juvenile shads really well. Another great bait is a scrounger head. This is a little 3/16 ounce right here. I usually throw a quarter when I'm fishing lakes, but if I'm fishing ponds, or sometimes when the shad are just ridiculously small, I'll throw my favorite little fluke on there, a tiny fluke or a little shad style bait, something that sticks out about that long, just to imitate those shad, and this just swims close to the surface. And if you're fishing clear water and it's tough and they're feeding on little shads, this is a money bait right here. It will absolutely catch them, guaranteed. Other baits you can try, go to the tiniest rattle trap you can get, one of these little jokers, or go down to a tiny little square bill. You can even go smaller than this. This is typically a small size that I like to throw. Just something that matches those little shad and is natural. You know, I actually like the crankbait because it doesn't have rattles. If they're getting a little testy on you and don't want to bite, this actually has rattles in it. Those baits are excellent as well. And tiny little swim baits, you know, go down to a really small swim bait. They make some tiny little boot tails. Kitech makes one actually. Put you a little jig head on there. That can be really effective as well. And if they're not hitting the moving baits, you know, go down to something small like the Senko. The Senko has probably caught more pond bass or pressured bass in lakes than the history of any other bait. You know, this is a little 4-inch Senko right here. You could get this in a white or pearl color. Put you a wacky rig hook through there. Oh, come on now. Very pertinent question right here for right now. Ben Burns 43 asks, what do you use in ponds in the hottest part of summer? Well, let me tell you folks, down here in Texas right now, it is hotter than a jujube in July. When it's hot, I actually prefer to night fish when it's this hot, talking 100 degrees, or get up really early and fish the evenings. And I remember when I was getting started in fishing, I really got into fishing when I was in high school, and I was a baseball player, so I'd play baseball all the time, summer league, everything. But really the time that I had to fish was in the summer, and I would usually get up really early and fish, or fish in the evenings, And sometimes I would fish during the middle of the day, but I always found that the low light hours were always best, especially in summer. So some of the things that I will throw in the hot part of summer, gotta have a frog. A frog is essential for pond fishing in the summertime. Usually you have a lot of grass that grows up around the edges, and just working this around the shoreline around the grass is money, and you usually catch big fish on frogs. What usually happens in the summertime too, you'll get some schoolers that'll happen at certain times of day, morning and evening. Top water is great. Love to throw little pop-Rs like this, or little spooks and sammies that you can walk around the surface. These work excellent. There's a lot of bugs that come out in the summer too that are landing on the water. Bluegill are used to feeding on those. Bass are used to hanging around those bluegill. So that's excellent. That's 2 summer baits right there. A swim bait. Just swimming that around the edge. You can work things really fast in the summer. That's a nice thing. The fish's metabolism is up and they're moving around pretty quick. So little swim baits like these worked around the edges or on top. Pretty awesome. And then you've got your Texas rig. You know, a Texas rig, little creature bait or something like that. That works great too. If the conditions are, if the sun's out and the fish are starting to move into cover, that's great for targeting cover. I mean, a little brush hog, some sort of little creature bait. This is one of my favorite creature baits right here of all time. I've been fishing this for so many years. Lake Fork Trophy Lures baby creature. Put that on a little 3/16 ounce Texas rig, and that is a pond killer. It's a lake killer too. Alright, Kinzer Guzman 3 asks, is there certain times of year that you prefer to fish ponds over lakes? And if there is, why? Actually, there is. There is a time